Support WrestleTalk.
What's happened?
Nothing's happened. We are currently live. Do you want me to put this thing up on screen so you can see where we are?
Wait. Oh, are we live now?
Yes.
Oh my god!
What's
because usually there's a screen there.
Hold on.
I'm looking at a 20-second delay screen.
Yes, there you go. For those of you who didn't actually, well, I mean, you wouldn't have seen that because it happened at the start, like before we came on air. Ollie was just reclining in his chair because he was looking at that screen. There was like, I've still got like 28 seconds to go.
28 seconds. Let's ask Luke what he bought over the weekend.
And then he could hear the end of the song, and he's like, "But wait,
where's that come from?" Hello and welcome to the Raw Review Podcast.
We're live, pal.
It's 2022. About time for a Bullet Club angle, isn't it?
Finger on the pulse.
They're still popular.
In fairness to them, Bullet Club are probably more relevant now than they were, say, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But they aren't as relevant as when they had both Balor and AJ Styles in the company and could have done. I mean, they literally did the club when they had Balor on the main roster as well. They could have done an actual big Bullet Club thing when Bullet Club was really, really popular. Chose not to do it. They thought, let's just take that off the boil, wait till it goes stone cold, then put it slightly back on the stove, and then do it.
Off the boil or long-term planning?
Hey.
It feels special. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Of course, this is the Raw Review Podcast. Please give us a subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Smash that thumbs up button. Say, hi, Sully.
Hi, Sullivan.
Hi, Sullivan, in the comments. And send in your Ultrachats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them. Over $5 US.
It's not Quizomania here.
Cost of living. God. The inflation. And special guest on the show here in person.
Do we want to reveal that? Should we just tease that? At the end of the show, we're going to have a special guest here.
Okay.
We're going to have a very special guest on this show later on. Are you worried that it's going to...
Well, now people are going to think it's CM Punk. That's what I would do.
You'd think that we would just quite casually just say, special guest coming up.
No. But that's what people, subconsciously they'll have CM Punk.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this. It's not CM Punk and it's not Andy. Because that's what I would think people would leap to. So it's not CM Punk and it isn't Andy Datson.
I'm going to add one more thing. It's someone who's already part of the WrestleTalk verse.
Yes.
But they're not in the country all the time.
That certainly narrows things down quite some.
Like two people. And it's not Tempest. Right. We had the continuing saga, which for me is like might be the best thing in the company right now. Now that the Arcade Bro tag title unification thing has been
made boring.
Made a general weekly TV main event for the pay-per-view. This is the best thing. Judgment Day versus AJ Styles. And really, it's my interest has been with Judgment Day, Edge and Damien Priest. Damien Priest took on AJ Styles on a match on this episode with the stipulation if AJ won, no Priest at ringside.
For WrestleMania Backlash.
AJ did win. Edge tried to distract him, but AJ used that distraction for his own benefit. Judgment Day tried to beat him up afterwards, go to give him the concerto, but Finn Balor runs down for the save, and he too sweets Styles.
Yeah, it was a really cool, we kind of sort of fantasy booked this at WrestleMania. When they did the big Priest reveal that he was aligned with Edge, I was like, oh man, because Priest has been having so many matches with Balor, you could do at the next pay-per-view Edge and Priest versus AJ and Balor, like a proper little Bullet Club, or the two former leaders of Bullet Club, on the same page to fight against the common evil. They're just doing a straight singles match again, just doing a rematch instead.
That was always the plan. That could be the next pay-per-view.
That's exactly it. This is a good way to escalate the feud. That's the one thing I've really enjoyed about this feud. It's kind of what we were saying about the Wardlow MJF feud over on Dynamite. Each week it adds something new into it. Yeah. I haven't loved everything with Judgment Day because obviously it's an American spelling of it, so it's missing that crucial E.
Is that why I keep having to? I get the red line in my news docs?
Yes, because the Americans spell judgment wrong. They spell it jugment.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Judgment Day, and like there's, the joke that Brody King made. It's House of Black from Wish.com.
Yeah, but House of Black is Brood, Ministry of Darkness.
Yeah, but I would say to compare the two, I think that House of Black are consistent with their characters. I don't think I fully know what the characters of Judgment Day are, because
You people.
Well, it is, but it's also your local sports team sucks, and also we're spooky magic,
And they can disappear.
Yeah, we're not sure whether they are magic, because Damien Priest made all the lights go purple, and then he won a match. Or he certainly made a match end. But then the commentators said the following week that he just disappeared. So he's magic.
So he lost via count out.
And Edge and Priest
mind game.
teleported into AJ's locker room to beat him up, and then teleported out again
With a strobe light.
Yes,
Which is a different light. Is that so? Your problem is with the consistency of the light and effects.
No. My problem is: are you spooky magic or are you the Miz? Because the Miz's whole shtick is local sports team, and your shtick is we are baddies with magic. And my problem I've had with Edge's promos is that the only way he's getting heel is by coming out and being like, your local sports team, and he gets a boo for it.
Yeah. Do you think that is because it is a cheap tactic, and I do think he's beyond it, but you can't deny it. I thought, unless it was piped in boos, he got the biggest reaction of the night from his promo.
So the point I was going to make was, this was my first time I really enjoyed all of Judgment Day stuff, because I think that they have been quite inconsistent from the get-go. I don't know whether they are spooky magic, whether they are just baddies wearing trench coats. But I thought the entrance was actually complete this week, where they just come out to Edge's music. Like Damien Priest last week he started out with Edge's music, and then it cut to his old music and it was just a bit of a jarring change of tone. This week, just play Edge's music. That's a much better way of doing this, and you make a full entrance, and it felt like a more complete package this week. It was still your local sports team, but there was less spooky nonsense this week. So it feels like a bit more of a complete unit now.
But there was no throne.
It was missing the Shao Kahn throne. However, if they'd have had that there, Balor might have tripped over it when he was trying to run in to make it safe.
Yeah. So I've actually liked House of Purple from the start, really, even before Priest joined. Maybe it's because like Edge is so good as a heel.
He is very good.
And I know we got him as a heel in Mania last year, but it was more like this. He was playing with the morality of a heel.
Yeah.
But he was never fully there. So I'm really enjoying this. And yeah, I agree. I think this is probably the most complete version of it. But what I like about it most is not just the steady progression of the details. Like, they worked over AJ Styles' shoulder in this match. That's the shoulder they attacked the previous week. I know it's like pretty basic stuff, but just the idea that they sold a body part over, I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's attention to detail beyond WWE's usual capacity.
And it ties into Edge's return in 2020
when he got a similar injury
with AJ Styles. So it's a nice little touch of detail there, which is one of the great things about Edge, the promos that he's cut, where it's just like, I don't know why you guys didn't see this coming. I was in the Brood and I was in the Ministry of Darkness.
He is not scared of referencing stuff that's already happened. In fact, he is doing a very good job, I think, of wrestling that into the submission of continuity. I mean, even Judgment Day is the poster when he was sitting down. Cool. And my favorite part, though, is linked to that, and that I really believe Edge has some form of creative control over this, or at least a lot of creative input, because of that attention to detail. And it feels like his gimmick is as much taking people who aren't really working in other parts of the company and making them work in his storyline. Damien Priest. What was AJ Styles doing before Edge? He tagged for a year with Amos.
Then lost to Amos.
Finn Balor, who has been treated worse, really, over the last couple of months than Finn Balor.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in there now. Rhea Ripley. I know this is now speculation reportedly, but she could come in as well. And, yes, Purple Ciampa.
Yeah, who currently is he is proper being TNA to the back at the moment with his quote unquote push. So yeah, they are two people I'd like to see. But let's dive into the post match angle here, which was, as you mentioned earlier, Balor ran down to make the save, and he and AJ Styles too sweeted each other. Is this the first time that they have too sweeted each other in ring on like a main continuity Raw show that wasn't like Raw 25 or something? Since their match that they had at like that weird No Mercy when everyone got ill and Kurt Angle had to be Shield Dad?
Because it was meant to be Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor.
No, it was supposed to be Sister Abigail versus the Pumpkin King.
Yeah. But AJ Styles was put in last minute. What a match.
Great match.
But I think we said at the time, that was such a good match because I know they could have a better second one. And they were setting up those bits.
Just never did it.
Never went there. But yeah, I can't think of any other interactions between the two. They've often been ships passing in the night on different brands a lot of the time. Never feuded.
Yeah. Just a lot of people pointing out it was TLC, not No Mercy. Like anyone actually cares.
And they had that when... I think the SummerSlam, the year AJ and Gallows and Anderson came in, they had a moment with Balor, but Balor was like, I'm on a different path. Yeah,
they were sort of like teasing, are they going to like feud with each other? Are they going to join forces? I think we did a lot of like fantasy booking of like a Bullet Club style faction in WWE, but they've never pulled the trigger. And really, they're not pulling the trigger here either. I think it is a happy accident that these two people are former Bullet Club leaders, as opposed to the booking of this being like, well, now we'll put Balor with AJ. And it's a Bullet Club thing. It's more just these are two people that previously were independently feuding with Edge and Priest, and now they are going to be tag partners.
Yeah, I think it's mostly come about via coincidence. But Edge, I think, is a guy who would look at coincidence, as all good bookers should do. I mean, like Gado does, Tony Khan. They do not plan out every single thing that happens. Sometimes it's like, oh man, those two work really well together. I don't know if anyone's ever done video editing, but there will be a bit where you'll put a track on some footage, not line anything up, and you go, it peaks at the exact moment I want it to. Brilliant. I think that's one of these moments.
Same here.
But I don't think that means they won't really not lean into it. They're not going to say New Japan.
No.
But they did the too sweet.
Yeah, and I think that they will have a promo, in a couple of weeks' time or whatever it is, where they will make reference to the fact that we have spent some time in Japan, we know each other, we've got similar beliefs about, whatever it is. I think they will make some vague references to it, and I'd imagine Corey Graves will drop some lines on commentary here and there for us smart marks. So I could see them doing that way. But once this feud is done, I don't think AJ and Finn are staying together as a tag team, despite the fact that actually might be quite good for them, because what are they going to do otherwise?
Yeah, it's kind of depressing, isn't it? I think AJ's usually safe, but Balor...
You just said then, what's he done?
Well, but that's because Amos needed some help. I actually think that is a vote of confidence by the company to put AJ there. His contract's not coming due.
My point was more, what did he do after the Amos thing? Yeah, but that was months after the Amos thing finished, then they just put him in. And then it felt like, oh, you actually feel like a massive loser. Gonna build him up in that time.
Put over Theory a couple of times, I think.
Well, that's it, yeah. He is just there to sort of put over other guys over. So I don't know if I would say he will be okay outside of a tag team.
Just to talk about the Ciampa thing, he wasn't in this angle at all. He appeared elsewhere on the show. Priest is now banned from ringside. So do we see the next member of Judgment Day debut at Backlash?
Could be. And then you can have Ali feuding, Ali joining the ranks with Balor and AJ as well, which would be really fun. I think, however, Ali is so tied in with Theory and Miz that moving him from that into, because I was what do you then do with Theory and Miz and Ali's feud where they're not joining Judgment Day, are they? So
no, but Theory's going to slowly turn babyface against the Miz.
Oh,
there was a bit where Miz and Theory were on the ramp and they were celebrating. I was just waiting for Miz to go. I feel like there's something building there.
Perhaps you're right, but I think my point was more going to be, do you think anyone's ready to cheer Austin Theory?
Well, you do anything you want when you pipe in those noises.
I suppose so, yeah.
Look at Lashley's dick! That was a lot of the piped in noise today. That slow zoom up. Let's see what you'll think on the Ultrachats, which I have right here. No thoughts on the Bullet Club reunion.
So we had a conversation when we were putting together this stream. This is the thing that we wanted to talk about, was the Bullet Club reunion of sorts, and Judgment Day and things like that. The argument that I made was like the most watched thing on WWE's YouTube channel. So I think the thing that's got the most interest in it is the Bloodline storyline with RK Bro and RK Bro and Drew McIntyre. Problem was, like, because nothing happened on this show, there wasn't really a way to like frame a talking point around it. And we didn't want to do a thumbnail that said nothing happened, because I think that we have done a lot of those sort of like negative Nancy thumbnails in the past. Well, they do draw for oftentimes. It's not really the angle I wanted to take on this show, which I thought was broadly quite good.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it is a shame that we set this, like, we thought, oh, this will be the big talking point, and apparently we're the only people that care. So that's a shame.
Let's talk about the rest of Raw. Alpha Wolf says, hello, chaps. Well, Raw wasn't terrible. Let's hope it continues after WrestleMania. Backlash. My dad just recently got diagnosed with cancer, but I just wanted to thank you for keeping my spirits up with your videos. Much love. Jam that jam. # Team Andy. Well, so sorry to hear that, Alpha Wolf. So sorry. I'm not going to reference the Team Andy comment.
Yeah.
Will Campbell. Hey guys, really liked last night's show. The double RKO at the beginning was incredibly satisfying and very well executed. I also like how Liv got the pin in the main event. Also, I think it's better that WWE isn't doing the title unification on Sunday.
Yeah, it continues, because I think that even Vince realizes that RK Bro and the Usos are still far too over for either team to lose their titles, and Roman wouldn't be on the Backlash show otherwise. Also, I think that the Randy Games are a documentary of how off his head Ollie really is. So,
Randy Games?
The Randy Games. I've got a massive issue with the title unification, or the non-title unification thing now, because you spent 3 weeks promoting a match, and then 1 week out from the show being like, we're just going to do a less interesting 6-man tag that could have been done on any episode of Raw or SmackDown. But also the storyline justification of it doesn't work, which is, if anyone who didn't see SmackDown, what happened was Roman Reigns tore up the contract, and then later on, Paul Heyman was accosting Adam Pearce, and he said, I think you should make this a 6-man tag. And Adam Pearce is like, I don't think I have any authority to do any of these sorts of things. But Paul Heyman's point was more, if you don't make this a 6-man tag, I will go and tell WWE higher-ups and management that you weren't going to book Roman Reigns on a premium live event.
Then they watch the show.
Well, I mean, you can certainly make the argument for Adam Pearce to just say, well, I'll just book him versus Drew in a singles match then, and keep the title unification match.
That's a hell of a card.
A hell of a card.
Pierce.
But Pearce is like, no, Paul, you are right. I think that is the only option I have now, is to do this as a 6-man tag instead. So the story just doesn't work. It's just Vince woke up one morning and was like, well, God damn it, pal, I don't want to do that match anymore. It's now just a 6-man tag.
It's a shame. We'll get onto that more when we talk about the opening segment. And finally, for now, Charles Berg. Raw was okay, which is better than bad. If the Randy Games has taught me anything, it's that you boys like Hot Fuzz. Of the Cornetto trilogy, which is your favorite? Over time, mine has also become Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz is mine.
Yeah, it's like 3 great albums. You got the great debut album, the almost more impressive second album follow-up, and a third album that beautifully caps it off, that isn't as good as the others, but still brilliant.
But you can argue that the third album, probably the more divisive of the albums, is then for the more interesting album to sort of like look at and dissect.
It's a bit darker.
Yeah, a bit darker, a bit weirder.
The most real, I would say. Like, it deals with actual emotion, like not that Shawn and Dan stuff, but they're like quite superficial level emotions. These are difficult emotions.
Oh, I love The World's End so much. We saw it together, and I absolutely adore that movie. But yeah, for me, Hot Fuzz, it is a movie that I can watch once a month, and went through a period where I was, because it was on ITV2 every Wednesday, and I'll find something new in it each time, just some little background detail or something. And there'll always be moments in there that make me like pop and laugh. Yarp and Narp.
It's just bolognese. I'll be a big cop in a small town down the model village. Yeah. So Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, World's End.
Yeah.
Daylight between them though.
I'd say so. Yeah.
I tell you, I saw Edgar Wright.
Did you?
Yeah, so I went to the Sparks gig.
You did go to see
Went to Sparks,
yeah.
and
Of course Edgar was there.
I was like, oh, I really hope I run into someone famous. And there were obviously famous people there.
You looked in a mirror.
Yeah, but they were all like 60-plus-year-old men who were probably part of a band in the early 80s. Because they looked, and everyone, like all the other 50-plus-year-old guys there were going. But no, at the end, everyone sort of gave them a standing ovation. I was like, wow, looking around. Front row in the decks behind, there's Edgar Wright.
Oh, Edgar.
So happy. And I looked at him. I was like, and we locked eyes. So I must have been the only person
and he,
not looking at Sparks.
And he went, oh my God, it's Ollie Davis.
And then I was like, oh, Graham, don't look now. And Edgar Wright's over there. I wouldn't look up there for the rest of the time because I didn't want him to think I wasn't enjoying the moment. I didn't want to make him feel pressured.
Did I ever tell you the time I interviewed Edgar Wright? So it was to promote, I think it was the DVD release of World's End, and me and a group of other journalists. It wasn't like a filmed interview thing. It was just like for sort of audio and written pieces. So we just all sat like in a circle in this hotel, in his swanky hotel room that he was booked into, and got given World's End beer mats, which was amazing. But before we went in, we were like in one of the sort of the living quarters area of the hotel suite that he was in. And the person who set it up was just like, and you could, dates this quite a lot, said, don't ask any questions about Ant-Man, because this is when he was still attached as director. Wow. He said, don't ask him any questions about Ant-Man. It's not that he's just anti-talking about it, it's that he's got no update to give you. And it was like, I think like a couple of months later was when he would officially leave the project.
And you were like, damn, that's all my questions.
Well, in a little way it was, because we wrote for a comic book movie website at the time. So I was kind of like, wanted to talk about Ant-Man a little bit. So when we sat down, I just jokingly said to him, don't worry, we've been told not to ask any questions about Ant-Man. Boom, gave us some quotes about Ant-Man, because he was just like, we were just chatting. It was just ripping away. It's like, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, really, there's no like update for anything. But I then had it on the record of him saying stuff about Ant-Man when I got myself some news stories out of it.
Nice. Swindled you, Edgar. Thank you so much for the movies and the contribution to our lives you've given. But we got you.
I bucked the system slightly. And I then, quite embarrassingly, got a photo with him afterwards, which you're not supposed to really do at interviews and sort of, it's an uncouth thing to do. I pretended it was for social media, my social media. And I got him to sign one of the beer mats because I just started dating... Well, the woman who is now my wife. We just started going out, and I thought this will be a really good gift to give her early doors. And
you didn't have a ukulele to sing to her.
Exactly, yeah. And he wrote, to Kate, let's boo-boo, Edgar Wright.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Well, that's probably the last, kind of embarrassing story you have about a celebrity interview that you've done, isn't it?
Can't think of anything.
Because that was the last
more embarrassing of a celebrity interview I've done in recent times.
I certainly don't.
Nope.
Right, this episode of Raw, I'm going to put my rating out on Front Street. Best episode of the year so far, 74%. The least best episode of AEW Dynamite, 75%.
Oh, so it was almost as good as the worst episode of Dynamite.
I've always been scared of, like, if I do enough poops in the toilet, that it might touch my butt. And that this is what I feel like. It's what I feel like this is. So, yeah, Raw, really good.
Oh, that was a really, really good show, yeah. But I will say, like, I thought the opening segment of this show, this opening segment put me in a bad mood. Thankfully, the rest of the show there to sort of like pick up the pieces, because this opening segment of the show reminded me of why the build for WrestleMania weren't all that great either, and that is because WWE put all of their eggs into this Roman-shaped basket, but only really want to do that stuff on SmackDown. Yeah. So, like, this opening segment here was Roman and the Bloodline doing their long intro, which means great, I can skip the first 10 minutes of the show. There's one bonus point there, and they do the "We Are the Number Ones" thing, and then Roman gets the mic and he's like, I don't know, wherever they were.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Acknowledge me. RK Bro attack the Usos.
Great spot.
Great spot. Drew McIntyre comes out. Everyone brawls. And then it cuts to an ad break. Cuts back. And Jimmy Smits is there doing his commentary. And he just says, like, well, you'll have to tune into SmackDown because all 6 of those men will be under the same roof. I was like, Jimmy, they were all under the same roof now. They're still all under the same roof, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an unfortunate end because that it was great to see the Bloodline on Raw. The crowd are really hot for it, potentially artificially, but I think genuinely. And that RKO spot was perfectly timed, didn't see it coming, and the pull apart brawl was pretty cool. But then, yeah, I've seen Raw before. I almost expect. So, in the main event, it's going to be the Usos versus or Drew McIntyre versus
Jimmy Uso.
But there was no mention of it. And it just felt, although I really agree with the main event they went with, kind of.
Certainly star power wise, but not if you're building a pay-per-view wise. It made the show feel a bit disconnected. Yeah, that's a great point about that main event. Great main event, and it was stacked full of star power, but none of those 6 women are on the pay-per-view, which is weird then because the final line of the show was just like, and we'll see you on Sunday. I was like, well, I won't see any of them. Whereas this show was missing that killer go-home angle. This didn't, and that's what I think this show's big lacking point was. I feel like none of the angles were that killer go-home angle to make me want to see the pay-per-view this Sunday. I feel like they had one, but they just didn't. They didn't make the most of it. I'll come on to that later. But yes, this is, of course, I've made my peace with the whole no title unification thing. I do agree the tag titles being unified, bad idea, but it was actually a really hot match, I thought. So yeah, and it's so obvious that Roman's injured. He's not, though. He's wrestled on the European tour. He wrestled all the time on the European tour. He's had lots of matches. Why are they protecting him like this then? Because they just don't want to unify the tag belts now? That's what I think it is. I think Vince just didn't want to unify the tag belts. Sean massively shot down all of those rumors that Roman was injured because he's wrestled loads since WrestleMania. So there's no way that that's it. I think it's Vince woke up and was just like, well, we can't unify the tag belts. I don't know what we'll do for the next pay-per-view. And it's 100% Roman Reigns wrestling. It's not Gold AR Roman Reigns stepping in for him. Look closer, Lenny. Right, so after that, we had the Street Profits and Ezekiel. They were sort of partying backstage. Kevin Owens, Alpha Academy came in. You're not Ezekiel. You made a fool of me. Hey-ho, 6-man tag. I'm enjoying how many 6-man tags there are. It's almost like Raw needs a trio. Unify the tag belts. Introduce a trios title. The last thing that WWE needs is more belts. No, but because it will be net the same belts. Oh, awesome. Belts that don't mean quite as much. And it would be so funny to troll AEW and say they're copying WWE. Imagine. That is the reason to do it. So this was a really fun match. I actually thought Ezekiel looked the best he had so far, just because of the way everyone wrestled around him. Good hot tag. And he lost. He certainly did. Yeah, Kevin Owens tripped Ezekiel on the outside, and it led to Chad Gable getting the win on him. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping that they were going to announce for Backlash, Alpha Academy versus Ezekiel and Elias, but I don't think is Kevin Owens facing Ezekiel at the pay-per-view. You know what? I was just like, what is happening at Backlash? Because they did run down the card. Yeah, so obviously the I Quit Rousey Flair match should main event, in my opinion. Well, no, the 6-man tag will main event. Do you think? When it opened the show? No, I think maybe that'll. So what we who's going to get the card? I've got the card. I've got the Wikipedia card. Flair versus Rousey, Rhodes versus Rollins, the 6-man tag, AJ versus Edge, Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss, Lashley versus Amos. So yeah, I mean, at least there's some differences. It's not a bad card. It's a short card as well. Only 6 matches. Yeah, there'll be 3 added to the pre-show on Sunday probably. But there's some variations in there. Like I made this point with Sullivan a couple of weeks ago that my issue I have with the WrestleMania Backlash card is that, well, I've already seen Bobby Lashley beat Amos decisively. I've already seen Cody Rhodes decisively beat Seth Rollins. I've already seen Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey have a match, and I don't really want to see them have another one. So the title unification was like my big thing I wanted to see, and they've taken that away from me now and just given me a standard 6-man tag with no stakes. And I guess so Drew can just, I don't know, pin Jimmy. Yeah, you keep that. You save Drew Roman for a bigger pay-per-view. Well, you'd have thought they would have saved it for the UK show. Mm-hmm. I thought that's why you did the angle with Shinsuke. Drew loses, goes into a Tyson Fury feud. That's your big UK. Oh, match. I could not think of anything I want to see less than Tyson Fury having a. It's not about you. No.
It's about the mainstream viewers.
Oh, I mean,
who
me
don't
and
exist.
Me and Denise were talking about this on the Friday show. Someone said, like, she asked me, like, who's a big UK celebrity that you'd like to go out there and see get attacked?
Hollywood. No, not attacked.
Yeah, well, I was like, James Corden.
Yes.
Like, bring out James Corden for him to get, like, you know, Claymored or something. Boris Johnson getting Claymored in the
Can you
face.
imagine?
Yeah.
He's got a mean tackle on him. Do you remember when he speared that kid in rugby?
Yeah.
That would be his finisher.
So it's what you're saying, you want to do Roman versus Boris, spear versus spear.
Yes. Be better than the Goldberg stuff. After that, we got AJ talking backstage. Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce are like, Adam Pearce is like, you will have this 6-woman match in the main event, and you are a performer. You're not an official in this capacity. And Sonya's like, oh, it means I can't change the rules.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a nonsense. I like both of them. This is just a nonsense story.
It's because they were never introduced as GMs.
Mm-hmm.
They still aren't introduced as GMs.
Adam's like, oh, I can't do anything. Mate.
That's exactly it. Like, I don't know what their characters are. And now they've introduced this sort of like omnipotence of higher up and WWE management. And there's also a Vince McMahon that's right there. So
you mean the mentor? Not Mr. McMahon.
The mentor.
The mentor.
So I don't really know who is in charge or who actually is able to make matches at the moment.
It's Edge's mountain of omnipotence. You go into like a performance review and there's this Sauron-shaped mountain with an eye on the top. Hello.
Doing a Vince voice.
Yeah. After that, we got Veer versus local man Bart Hansen.
Oh, is that what it was? I read a Brooke Hansen.
Bart Hansen, I'm pretty sure. He's from North Carolina, but North Carolina didn't really care. He tried to do the James Ellsworth style.
This
promo.
was a James Ellsworth promo.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it as an idea. And then Veer just destroyed him.
I said this with Pete last week. I'm done with this Veer Mahan experiment already because it's going nowhere and it's going nowhere fast. Like, without the Mysterios there, this is just the same cack every single weekend.
That's what we got with Braun, and that was good.
Yeah, no, but I made this point with Pete last week. So apologies if people watching to home are hearing me like, repeat myself. But this whole, like, big guys squashing small guys. And Pete said, like, well, it worked with Braun. I was like, oh, that's one example that we can think of the last 10 years where they keep doing this thing. They've done this type of match.
Lance Archer.
To what end did it lead to?
Well, he put over Cody in the TNT title feud.
Like, they do this big guy squashes small man thing, but like, there's probably like 3 examples of the thing working in 20 years.
Oh, no, I think it's an effective way to book someone.
Name me 10 people.
It just hasn't been done often.
How do you mean it doesn't been done? This feels like it's done every year. It didn't work with the Moss either.
They usually give up after 3 weeks.
I think they're on their path to give up on this one.
Oh man, that would be annoying. We waited a long time. Priest took on AJ Styles after that, which we've spoken about. Cedric Alexander approaches MVP and a Moss backstage, said, hey, Shelton's not here. Please let me join the Hurt Business again. Or whatever it is you are now. I'm going to have a match against Lashley later. And MVP's like, ooh, interesting. Cedric's from North Carolina.
Oh, it makes sense for him to get pinned then.
Happy birthday to The Rock. 50 years old.
Done like a day over 25.
Did you hear my joke I made? I said, actually, relatively, that's pretty young for his fellow geological minerals and also part-timers who are going to main event WrestleMania.
That is a very good
I thought
joke.
that was good.
I think it's just more, it's funny that WWE are still pining after The Rock and yet he's still not showing up on any of their programs. I mean, Christmas Day, did you see the trailer for Young Rock they played later on with that Mick Foley and Triple H thing? It looks so low rent and naff.
It's like the porno version.
It did.
Triple H particularly.
I wrote in my notes, this is either, like, porno's a great thing, but it reminded me of...
Porno is a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? Quote him.
Absolutely. Porno is a great thing. But it reminded me of, you know, like in the UK in the late 90s where WWF is coming to town, but it was local British wrestlers playing as the American wrestlers. That's what this looked like. I could have seen this at my local sports hall in 1999 for about, for £3, and then I got pictures with them afterwards.
Have you watched any of Young Rock?
No.
I haven't watched any either, so I won't criticize. But it does not look like Triple H
or Mick Foley for that matter.
MizTV hosted Mustafa Ali next. They did all the sort of fake production tricks where, oh, your music got cut, I'm sorry, Ali. Or, oh, your microphone isn't working, I'm sorry, Ali. Why don't you go and complain on Twitter about it? And Ali, in one of the worst babyface comeback lines of the year, I don't complain to management, I complain to these fans. It's like, no. Complaining was the problem word here.
Yeah. There was a moment in this segment as well where I'm just like, I don't know how you managed to get this wrong either. So Ali's mic was turned off. So he was trying to speak and Miz was like, oh no, how embarrassing, your microphone is turned off. This is such a shame, this and the other. And then Ali has that great moment where he steals away Miz's mics. Now Miz doesn't have a microphone. And so like, oh, I haven't got a microphone now. So Miz goes to steal back the microphone, but he steals back Ali's microphone that was turned off. Only either he did steal back his original microphone or Ali's microphone was turned on the entire time. So he then goes like, this thing, and it's like boom, 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 boom over the microphone. And then it's like, this mic doesn't work, and it's on.
You think Ali was he was working, talking?
Yeah, it's like the scene I did with Andy last week.
God, he's such a good wrestler. He can even work speech. This turned into Theory coming out, and he said his mentor, not Mr. McMahon. Why would you not say that?
Because he needs branding.
Mr. McMahon. We'll say my mentor, Mr. McMahon.
Because you and I both well know that WWE are afraid of managers. And so what they don't want is to, like, you know, they wanted to have managers so little that Carmella got a sommelier. So Vince is like, well, God damn it, pal, I'm not a manager for him. What am I?
Worked for the sommelier, though.
And someone said,
champion.
Are you a mentor? There you go, pal.
Mentor's great, but then mentor Mr. McMahon. If I am just tuning into this episode and so Theory goes, my mentor, I'm like, who's the mentor?
Yeah,
Mr. McMahon, that's a huge thing to get him over.
I mean, you're absolutely right there, but the problem is if you don't say it 3 times in a promo, then the audience aren't going to know that that's what his new character is.
That's fair. So they have booked Ali in a championship contenders match against Miz and Theory. And Miz and Theory beat him pretty quickly. Ali was good, but, wasn't much of a fight at all.
It's just thank goodness everyone was in their gear for this match. This premature match that no one was expecting. Thank goodness everyone had their knee pads on.
There was also a strain throughout this promo where everyone was trying to reference Ali's backstage issues. He asked for his release, didn't work. Asked for his release publicly, it wasn't granted. And 5 years ago, when they didn't really reference anything like that, that's what we lived for. But now, it did not really get over.
I said this on last week's show. Crowd aren't reacting to them. Like I would wager part of this crowd, or like 80% of this crowd, didn't know that he'd asked for his release.
There was a line where he said, Theory was like, "You can't handle this heat." It was such a tortured setup line. And the answer was, if there's anyone can handle heat, it's me. Wink, wink. I had heat backstage. Yeah, it's a fine line, but it's not working.
Did you, Sean was talking about this on the Fightful post show. I can't remember. Oh, no, it was maybe on his Q&A show or something like that. He knew of Ali's creative plans on Monday before Ali did. That's how late in the day this Ali bringing him back was.
Or how well connected Sean is. I'm starting to think Sean's source is Mr. McMahon, his mentor. Ciampa attacked Ali again. No explanation. Cut to the back.
To the back.
Dana Brooke wanted to go on a honeymoon with Reggie, Reggie wanted to go on a honeymoon with Dana Brooke, but they kept fighting because Dana, understandably, is like, but you keep trying to win my title off me. I want a divorce unless you get me Nikki A.S.H also beat her in this segment.
Yes.
And then he's like, I want a rematch. Make it happen, Reggie. They had the rematch. Dana beat Nikki. Everyone chased each other. And then Brooke demanded a divorce from Reggie.
Well, the key to it is that in the melee of this, because a lot of people tried to attack and try to pin Dana afterwards, Reggie tried to pin her again. And Dana was like, what the hell? Like, we just talked about this. And then she got into the table where I guess it's safe. I guess like floor is lava, so like no one could get her up there. And she said that I want a divorce, and I want a divorce. You know, like Minnie McMahon style. And later on, Truth was appointed as Reggie's divorce attorney because he doesn't have a prenup.
90% of divorces end in separation was an R-Truth line. Thought that was very...
That is funny.
It's good. I don't care. Do you care?
No.
I like the wedding, but
Yeah, it's been all downhill since the wedding, unfortunately.
I thought the wedding was going to be... That's this chapter of the 24/7 story closed, new stuff now, but it's actually just the same stuff still.
Yeah, and maybe I have glazed over in a couple of these segments. Did they ever explain why Tamina tried to marry Dana Brooke at one point?
I assume Paul Heyman had some feedback on the segment. You know what this is missing? A lesbian marriage.
After this, it cuts to Jimmy Smits at ringside, who says, Reggie there, obviously devastated. Just as devastated as Becky Lynch was last week. I'm like, oh, let's not compare these two characters, shall we? Let's not compare their two plights.
Yeah, Becky's backstage with an obviously squatting Kevin Patrick. You know, in the backstage ring.
Yeah.
There's a ring backstage all the time.
Like, so they have a recap of Asuka's return, and it cuts to Kevin Patrick, and Kevin Patrick just says what the recap package just said, and Becky says, you don't need to tell me what happened. I was there. And I was like, you also don't need to tell me what just happened. I just saw it in a video package.
Yeah. The best. Becky somehow manages to remain credible in the sea of nonsense that is WWE. After that, we got Seth Rollins Appreciation Night. Obviously a play on Randy Orton Appreciation Night from the previous week. And this should have been the cliffhanger go home angle for me.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins comes out. He's trying to get people to cheer for him, but the crowd start chanting for Cody. Everything was working perfectly. Cody comes out instead of the Seth Rollins video package. They go back and forth, and Seth has this great line where he calls Dusty Rhodes a narcissist. He wasn't good enough to win the WWE Championship, and you're not good enough either. Great line. Cody then brawls with him. Right, so you know that's it was all very good, and I'm really looking forward to their match, despite me thinking I was done with it after WrestleMania. But I thought there was so much left on the table here. Cody is an amazing emotional promo, particularly when he's fueled by the material of his family, and specifically his dad. So if he had a chance to respond to Seth's line, whack on the old Cody tears, I think this could have been a hell of a go-home bit.
Yeah, I mean, I completely appreciate what you're trying to say there about this appreciation night. However, this was segment of the night for me because Cody Rhodes dropped a Johnny Polo reference. And I'm like, which is, you know, it was Raven's character in WWF before he went to ECW. So I'm like, well, this is now the show of the year. Johnny Polo reference.
That's all you've got to add.
That's all I've got to add to this. Honestly, once he wrote that, I stopped listening to anything else that was said in the segment. I actually forgot all the Dusty stuff, all that they'd brawled.
Cody also threw Seth's jacket into the crowd. And I don't think that's been done before. I was genuinely like, oh my God, that jacket's gone. Seth even went, was like, shall I go and get that? Very good.
I've rented these things.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley then had his match against Cedric Alexander. Bobby Lashley has a new part of his entrance because the AR Bobby Lashley wasn't enough.
The cardboard cutout one.
Yeah. We've now got Bobby on a podium and the camera just pans up his sweaty, splashy body.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes the AR cardboard cutout.
Well, he's a babyface now. Got to get a bigger entrance now that you're a babyface.
No offense to Lashley, but I'm not into Bobby Lashley, is what I'm realizing. I'm into MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
Whether it be TNA, whether it be WWE, this is not... Bobby Lashley does not function by himself.
We have seen this time and time again in WWE. It says a lot that Bobby's return to WWE was only good when MVP was his manager.
Like 2 years after.
That's what I mean. Because what happened with him, it was smiling, it was stalling suplexes, it was sisters, it was all of this stuff. Then it was being married to Lana, and it was all of this nonsense stuff. It was all bad stuff. MVP comes along, completely revitalizes Bobby Lashley in WWE and makes him feel like a credible star once again, to the point where he was WWE champion and champion for a long time as well. Had great matches, banger after banger. It's gone from MVP, and I am now like, I'm less into it.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out as well, because the report from Fightful Select over the weekend was MVP was not the first choice to be the manager of Amos. Malcolm Bivens was pitched to be his manager first off, and then that pitch didn't get through. LA Knight was also pitched as well to be the manager, and before they made the decision that MVP will turn on Lashley and we'll go with MVP and Amos as well. We could have still had MVP with Bobby Lashley and just someone else managing Amos, and that would have been so much better. Because without MVP, I'm not into Lashley as much.
But Vince is super into Lashley by himself in the most one-dimensional form. So he destroyed Cedric Alexander, who is from North Carolina, and MVP and Amos sort of watched on from the ramp.
They were trying to put Lashley off because they were like, they played Amos's music, which distracted Lashley, and then MVP was sort of like doing running commentary about him getting beaten. I was like, what are you going to do, Lashley? What are you going to do? And then Lashley wins, and then the commentary were like, I mean, how's he going to withstand Amos? I'm like, quite easily so go by WrestleMania, because he stood tall on the Go Home show before WrestleMania, then won at WrestleMania. So I don't think he's in that much trouble come Backlash.
Beat him in an arm wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. He keeps winning here. And this company keeps being like, I don't know what's going to happen when he gets to Backlash. How's he going to manage?
The main event was a 6-woman tag, but we'll talk about something that happened after Becky Lynch's entrance. So Becky Lynch was in the ring for about 9 minutes while we got this 24/7 title segment. R-Truth, Reggie talking divorce, yeah. But they walk past a very dejected-looking Nikki A.S.H. and Doudrop walks up to her and says, Are you done mucking around now?
You ready for a change?
Yeah. So hopefully this is not 24/7 title related. It is Nikki Cross and Viper.
Oh, you think it could be rebrand for Viper as well?
Why? I don't think.
Go back to Piper Niven.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not Viper, of course, but Piper Niven and Nikki Cross, Lass Kickers.
God, that would be amazing. I mean, that's
an actual tag team.
Yeah, but there's no tag team division for them to go into because it's. I mean, like them versus Banks and Naomi.
That's a genuine good match.
Yeah, genuinely in for that. It's just that there's no one to feud with after that.
It's quite remarkable, to WWE's credit. I know there's nothing on the pay-per-view, but that's a storyline lurking in the background. And then the 6-woman tag, which was just a great showcase of the top 6 women in the singles division. Becky Lynch, Sonya Deville, Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and a returning Asuka.
This rules. This is 3 singles feuds coming together into a 6-woman tag match, and a really, really fun tag match as well. Loaded with star power, made everyone feel like a really big deal. I think just being in the ring with Becky Lynch just makes everyone feel like that much like a brighter star. Everyone looked awesome coming out of it as well. It sucks that none of these women are on the pay-per-view because they really should be. I really do think that great to give Bianca Belair the win last week in her hometown, but her versus Sonya should have been on the pay-per-view. Yeah,
I thought they were kind of working it where there would be a rematch, but maybe it will get announced.
Maybe it'll be added
the day before.
Yeah.
But some really cool spots in this. I particularly liked, when I look at this, I see Liv and Rhea as the third feud. That was the one I was most into because they were just like, Liv was going for every opportunity. I think Ripley looks completely refreshed as a heel. Asuka and Lynch didn't really touch a great deal, which perfect keeping them apart. And there was this awesome spot. Who was it?
So it was if the one thing is
Sonya.
Yeah, Sonya's on the ring, like on the apron, and Asuka does her running hip attack, and Sonya Deville goes off the apron, and Liv Morgan catches her in midair to hit the recoil, Ricochet's move. It was awesome.
Yeah, really like that.
Really, really cool spot.
I've seen people be down on the finish because it's like, why is Sonya trying to win with her feet on the ropes? I think it makes perfect sense.
Because she's got heel authority powers. Like, she was telling the referee, ignore that I'm cheating, count the pin.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, because you're not in charge of me at the moment. You're in. It was perfectly made sense.
And it was Bianca Belair who, pushed the feed off. Liv Morgan gets the win
with the Oblivion.
Yeah, so Liv of all these 6 people going in, I would have said, well, Liv's taking the pin here.
Well, it was either Liv or Sonya.
Yeah, and Liv got the pin. So I was very happy.
Loved it.
Have no idea how this builds the pay-per-view, but just like what a great showcase of the women's division on Raw.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And you kind of hit the nail on the head there. This was a really, really good showcase for Raw. A terrible go-home edition for the pay-per-view, though, because none of the actual Raw matches felt like there was any really big go-home angle to make you, man, I cannot wait to see them collide in the ring at WrestleMania Backlash. I think the Edge AJ one is about the only one that was given like a new wrinkle to it. But yeah, it was just it was a really good show. Just a bad go-home show.
Yeah. I gave it 74%.
Which, as you said, is almost like the poop. It's almost the poop hitting your butt.
When you go to a festival and you have the long drops,
oh no!
Sometimes you're like, that's looking pretty close,
mate,
actually.
You're fancy. You went to festivals that had long drops.
Yeah.
Oh, we just had regular old cubicles that didn't get flushed, so you had to sort of like try and stand up onto it and squat over, so you can sort of like add to the mountain, as it were.
Oh my god! My friend once was trying to squat, slipped.
No.
Hand in, down the bowl.
The only time that I've ever had to do it to that degree was Reading Festival 2009, maybe 2008. It was one where Rage Against the Machine headlined the Friday. We were there for my friend's stag do, and we were doing it in superhero costumes. And it's those ones that are like all over.
Yes.
So trying to do a number two, we the number twos, where you've got to take the whole superhero costume off otherwise, like you got to unzip it and then just pull it all the way down, and then doing the squatting, it was not easy. You got to try not to get poop on your onto your costume, because you've got to wear it for a couple of days.
Well, we're joined by our special guest.
We have our special guest here. I think most people managed to guess it because Ollie Davis gave it away.
No, that was a cryptic clue par excellence.
You can sit here, my friends. You take that seat right there.
Oh, great. Look at this.
It's SP3.
Everyone, SP3 is here.
Hello.
Hey.
He's an American.
Bring it in.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Might have been on show in that shot there.
Look at this NXT 2.0.
I'll take that middle seat. Yes.
It's like when NXT guys pop up onto Raw and have a feud for a bit.
So, are you saying you like Ciampa coming in? We just need to like cut straight to the back now.
Yeah,
I'm like Braun Breaker.
No, but Ciampa's a full call up. It'll be like when Dolph Ziggler was feuding with Braun. Yeah.
Or like, Natalia going down now to NXT to feud with Nikita Lyons.
We're not showing up on the NXT review.
Hey, I'm like Braun Breaker because I'm from a wrestling family like him. So there you go.
It's very true, actually. He's got a point.
The lineage.
The
respected family.
But anyway, welcome SP3. If anyone is a fool and doesn't know who you are, why don't you explain to these fine folk?
Well, one day Luke Owen was on Twitter and he went out and said he wanted people, wrestling creators, content creators to reach out to him to be on the WrestleTalk podcast. This was back in 2020, and I just randomly sent him a link to True Hill Heat, and he saw me mark out almost orgasmically to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he invited me on, and the rest is history. I'm here in the UK. You can see me every Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Eastern time. See, I know the time.
It's good job you do. I can't work that out.
On the Mocha 2.0 review of NXT 2.0 with Seth E. Nyangi, the Mocha brothers. We are every Wednesday here to talk about NXT, and now I'm here.
Are you going to meet up with him?
Yes.
While you're over?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
amazing.
I think he's gonna meet me around in the area later on. So
Today?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Yeah,
haven't seen Sat for. I don't think I've ever met Sat in person.
I don't think I ever met him in person either.
Oh, we gotta make this happen then. So
we really should do, actually.
It's gonna be a whole WrestleTalk reunion
cool.
together meeting.
It's very good. Also, it's the first on-screen appearance of Dad Inc. on the show as well.
Yeah.
Yes, the New York connection, the Ghostbusters tour is coming. It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
So just you were saying in the office how because you used to really like New Japan, you still do, but you were saying NXT 2.0 is better now?
Yeah, it's so much better. They're going back to a time that I always remember very fondly, the Divas era. So it's going back in time to fantasy battle royals.
It wasn't sexy enough.
Yeah, it wasn't sexy enough.
Your fantasy. Yeah. I made this joke in the WrestleTalk news yesterday, but it was just like, when you see Nikita Lyons having matches, you're like, NXT is much hornier than it used to be. Show is way hornier than it used to be.
You call her Nikita Lyons on NXT, our Mocha 2.0 review. We call her the American Cream, Busty Rose. so either or, whatever you want to go by. Lash Legend is Ultimo Wagon. We go either or.
Let's get into some chats. Ultrachats, WrestleTalk Tom.
And you were making fun of me earlier for the Tom Dolan thing.
/WrestleTalk.
This is just as silly, I would argue.
WrestleTalk Tom. Hi, Sully.
Hello, Sullivan.
Everyone say hi, Sullivan.
Hello, Sullivan.
Brian Sullivan. Moore. Who cares about Reigns and his Gardle t-shirt? It's all about Bullet Club. Juice has joined. They're going to take all the gold at Dominion ahead of Forbidden Door. Even WWE is using the BC hype. That's Bullet Club hype with the AJ Balor pairing.
Exactly.
Good that this chat came in, actually.
Exactly, because you got an honorary member of the Bullet Club here with you. Switchblade Jay White, officially, check my Twitter page at TrueHillSP3. He gave me the 2 sweets, so I'm an honorary member now.
Oh.
Which is more than what we got.
So you're dropping too many names. You want them back?
I'm dropping all the names, all my connections, Bring it.
Any more you want to just drop? I was just bragging that I interviewed Edgar Wright earlier, so I've got no space to talk on this.
Well, I have an interview coming out with Deanna Purrazzo, who's going to be on AEW Dynamite this week at 12 p.m., 5 p.m. UK, coming out on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
go watch that. Yeah. Just give us a rundown of what this could mean, this whole Juice joins Bullet Club now, going into Dominion, and then there's Forbidden Door. How far apart are those?
Well, Dominion is on June 12th, and Forbidden Door is 2 weeks later, June 26th. So basically, Juice went on, I believe, one of these podcasts and did an interview, said his New Japan contract was expiring after Windy City Riot. And then out of nowhere, of course, because wrestlers work, they're always working on interviews. He appears at New Japan Pro Wrestling, Wrestling Dontaku on Sunday, and he reveals himself as a member of Bullet Club, lays out Hiroshi Tanahashi, who was his mentor, and now he's officially a part of Bullet Club and challenging for the United States Championship, most likely on May 14th in Washington, D.C. So he may be the champion going into Dominion even before then.
Ooh. What's your number one Forbidden Door match?
There's so many.
Can I give you a binary option? Only because we did this in the poll on a few episodes ago. Would you rather Okada versus Page, Okada versus Punk, or Okada versus Danielson?
I'll go with Okada versus Danielson because I believe CM Punk is going to be the AEW World Champion. So I'd rather be Punk versus another top star from New Japan instead of champion versus champion, because then we're just going to get a 60-minute time limit draw.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What was your other one? You want Hook versus...
No, I want. Hook versus Toriano, obviously. But no, my big match is MJF versus Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I put that in my article on WrestleTalk.com.
Look at this guy.
WrestleTalk.com.
Look at this guy.
William Tucci Jr. I think I'm excited for WrestleMania. Backlash. He hasn't put Backlash in.
Well, maybe he's still excited for WrestleMania.
It's right at the end.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm excited for WrestleMania also, as an American. I now understand why English teachers would get mad. I naturally spell a lot of things the British way. Judgment is and always will be the only correct spelling. Backlash.
Yeah, Judgment with an E, not Judgment Day.
What would you?
I spell it Judgment Day.
Do you like the E though? Do you prefer the E?
I do. It looks proper.
It does.
Yeah. In the same way as putting U's in words. Makes them look like they're spelled correctly.
Dar Train 24, on a scale of 1 to Retribution, how bad is the name Cervical Clutch? And no title unification?
This company.
Also, Randy Andy and Sully doing a show together is gold to me. Go over to Patreon. They did the After Dark show together.
They certainly did. Cervical Clutch, bad name.
Yeah, it's weird. Laxim Narasimhan B, Memberg for 8 months. Today's show did the job, I guess. Rivalries went from 3 to 4 right before the pay-per-view. And maybe the Ali storyline will lead to Brute Force making the save.
We can only hope. Bruce Harley.
Alex Jordan, I think I'm okay with WWE scratching the title unification match. Randy and Riddle kind of have Raw on their back, and I would have hate to see them lose the titles to the Usos and give me a reason not to watch Raw.
But Alex, what if RK Bro had won? And what would have that done for the bloodline dynamic of Roman sending the Usos to get those Raw titles and they come back with nothing? Oh, there could have been an interesting story development there. What we have is no story development.
Drew's in.
But we're still at square one here. If anything, we've actually landed on a snake and gone all the way back to start.
Appropriately.
Appropriate, you're right.
Were you going to have a thought there?
I was just going to say, I'm still confused on why Roman Reigns wanted the title unification and then ripped up the contract to suggest a whole different other match. It's still wrecking my brain. 4 days later.
Confusing motivation. Alex Jordan, I've read out. Juan Gabriel, hey boys, hope y'all are well. I have a question about Roman. Do you think that he needs a new motivator to be the next version of himself? That first, before I go into the Edgar Wright talk.
Yep. Edgar, we may as well rebrand this channel at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think he needs a new motivator?
Well, yeah, certainly, because he's at the top.
Yeah, he's Godel mode. The Rock, I guess. That's his next motivator, is to be the...
But that's ages away.
Yeah, but you can build to, I've already been the best person in WWE, now I've got to be the best Samoan wrestler ever in WWE. And then he can be... I don't know.
He wants to come out with young Roman.
I think he needs to lose the titles soonish. And then we can have, just psychotic breakdown Roman Reigns. Maybe SummerSlam. And then you build his redemption story finishes with The Rock.
Ollie, he's 100% still keeping those titles until WrestleMania.
I know.
And then he's winning at WrestleMania as well.
Adding to Edgar Wright talk, I've seen Baby Driver 15 times. It's my favourite movie of all time currently.
I don't like Baby Driver that much.
Didn't really do it for me either.
I wanted to like it more than I did.
Dustin Huffman. Would you rather not have the tag title unification match happen or have the match end in a double DQ and both sets of champions retain?
That's not the only two options, though.
But these are the two options you've been given.
If I have to go with those, I'll go with the double DQ, I think. Can you imagine how angry you'd be if we watch Backlash and that was the finish? But I'm angry now, so what's the difference?
Jack Nichols, I'm hollering 'cause I hear ya. Got my beer in a Steiner. Give me that effing mic. Where's my freaks and geeks at? It's Big Papa Peng Ollie Davis. Peng. Finally, somebody is going to take AEW to task for some reason. Welcome back, sir. You were missed. Legit. Oh, thank you very much.
Do you not want to do that in your Scott Steiner voice?
I don't have a Scott Steiner voice.
Hollering 'cause I hear ya. Got my beer in a Steiner. Give me the fucking mic. Where's my freaks and geeks at? Big Papa Bum Ollie Davis. Basically just shout. It's basically the only way to do a Steiner impersonation. It's not even that good.
Isn't that the same way you do the Tony Khan impersonation?
Tony Khan! It's all there!
It's slightly different. You can hear it.
Out there! Parking lot! You were there! You were there! Bring them on up! Out there!
Leggers King.
It's more coffee in the Tony Khan ones.
More screech.
Yeah. Leggers King. In the film analysis class, we have watched many good movies. I've watched Avatar. Pirates of the Caribbean. Where's the good movie? For the first time while in it. The only bad movie we've watched, and what I think is the worst movie of all time, is Bride Wars. Leggers King, what? Why are you watching Bride Wars in film analysis classes?
What? Well, I guess it is,
Soviet montage theory?
It's to just give you, this is a bad rom-com.
How not to make them. I don't know. You like rubbish rom-coms.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't like Bride Wars much. Bride Wars is the movie that quite famously, at least here in the UK, Mark Kermode reviewed it in January and said, if I see 10 films worse if I don't see 10 films worse than Bride Wars this year, I will quit. This has to be in the top 10 worst films of the year.
But Legis King continues. On Thursday, we started watching Prisoners in my film analysis class in high school. Didn't realise it was the movie Ollie brought up until it got to the scene where he played on the podcast with Jake Gyllenhaal going, hey, 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 hey. Hugh Jackman is trying to act his life out. And Jake is just going, hey, all the time. Great movie, though. What is your tutor like? Avatar, Pirates of the Caribbean, Bride Wars, Prisoners.
Yeah, and I suppose depends on what the you were looking to watch.
Film.
I'm so confused. What's the thread there?
Well, Avatar it's what, the third biggest movie of all time?
Yeah.
Pirates is a movie. There's things to be learned from movies.
Kookabian 131. Can't wait for WWE to sell fake Cody Rhodes neck tattoos. Luke, you must buy them all. Like the sort of transferable ones.
I'd love that.
Colostopia. After New Japan Dontaku, Bullet Club seems to be going back to their glory days. Didn't see that Juice heel turn coming. Jay White is going to Forbidden as champion. Haven't seen Raw in ages, but you guys keep me updated. Thank you, guys.
I think I see Jay going into that as champion.
I think so.
You reckon?
I do.
I already thought they were gonna like try and rebrand Okada and like take him back to 2017 Okada, where he beats all the top guys again.
He doesn't necessarily need it because he's got the record 720 days as champion. He set the record for 13 title defenses. Jay White kind of needs it. That's going to be the solidifying of the Bullet Club. And it's not just because Jay White made me an honorary member. It's because I think it makes sense story-wise.
But also, if you're New Japan, if you're looking at it, it's like, well, okay, what was our high point? That was when Okada was champion. If you're in a WWE mindset, surely it's just like, well, let's just do that again.
Yeah, if you're Vince, you would just go with that again. But who was the person that made the announcement of Forbidden Door? It was Adam Cole and Jay White. So I can see Adam Cole versus someone like Okada and Jay White defending the title against a big star from AEW like Hangman Adam Page, who loses his title at Double or Nothing.
Well, that's where we come into Jay White versus Page for the AEW title and Adam Cole versus Okada for the IWGP title.
This is Luke's card. You're pushing.
I'm not pushing it. It was suggested as an Ultrachat, and I don't think it's a terrible idea.
No, it's very good. There's so many good ideas. There's so many great
Stop trying to make
versions.
Hangman lose the title.
Transitional champion. Jack Nichols, cool black and white motif, Ollie. You look like a sexy penguin. Need a little, like a bow tie. Penguin.
Yeah.
A penguin. Can I get a newt for my boy Pengu? Sorry, I'm all penged up. Do you have Pingu in the States?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think,
little plasticine penguin thing.
Yeah, I think my kids watch that. Yeah.
Have you ever seen, you can find it online, someone remade The Thing, but with the cast of Pingu.
Oh, really?
It's incredible.
And Coco Bian 131, SB3, as a fellow New Yorker, can you give us a Joe Gacy version of Steiner Math?
Well, I would need the promo in front of me.
Oh, we've always got the promo to hand, don't worry.
Oh, please.
Drastic go down.
Okay, let me find it.
I gotta get my eyes like Joe Gacy.
Where's the internet?
Down here somewhere. I just had one more come in while you're finding that. Ollie Rodriguez Dolman. Ollie, what did you think of Selling Sunset Season 5? I know that's the real reason you were faking being ill. I didn't know that came out until the weekend.
Oh, no.
Netflix did not. That's been up for a month because they're doing the reunion this weekend. So I'm 3 episodes in, and my God, Christine is... The whole Chriselle Jason romance, you guys nuts.
No, I'm still season 9 of Maths at the moment.
Oh, Married at First Sight, of course.
Yeah. Olivia's an absolute nightmare.
Selling Sunset is ridiculous. They've really amped up the pro wrestling. Yes, Joe Gacy version of Steiner Math.
You know, they say that all men are created equal. But you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe And you could see that statement is not true. See, normally, if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best to beat me. Then you add Kurt Angle to the mix. Your chances of winning drastically go down.
I'm just going to correct you.
You're going to have to say that bit again.
It's drastic go down.
You think
See,
that's a typo?
I like corrected it. Of winning, drastic go down. See, the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even gonna try.
That's true, he's not.
So Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning. If we was to go one-on-one and you then had 66 2/3%, I got 141 2/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Samoa Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice.
Tremendous.
Well
And the only
done.
thing that was missing there was the pronunciation of Senor Joe. Aside from that, it was perfect.
I was trying to be Petey Williams. You know, when he starts to corpse.
Oh
my
the
God.
best part.
I haven't re-listened to that for a while. That is, I kept thinking, no, that's where the math stops.
Yeah, no, it keeps
there's
going.
more.
No, it keeps going.
Anyway.
might be one of my two favorite all-time stand-up promos. The other one is when he keeps talking about the University of Michigan.
And thank you, X Lone Storm X, for becoming a member. Right, that's all we've got time for today. What else have we got this week?
Oh, well, tomorrow it'll be the WrestleMania Backlash predictions with Adam versus Sullivan, and I will be here moderating between those two chuckle clowns. And then, as promoted earlier, Mocha 2.0, SP3 and Sat Iniangi will be reviewing NXT 2.0, and then on Thursday, myself and Oliver Davis will be reviewing AEW Dynamite, and then on Friday, Team, what do they call themselves? Team Damn, I think. Adam and Denise, the anti-chemistry will explode on your screens once again as they host the Team Danuke show on Friday.
Jam that jam.
Jam that jam, everyone.